Hi and welcome to an episode of I've got a brand new kitchen gadget, what am I going to make? I need to say a very warm thank you to SM for treating me to something off my wish list, a mini vacuum sealer. So that's the little device there. So that's the kind of vacuum chamber. Now I've been thinking for a while that I'd like to try the sous vide function on my Instant Pot, but the vacuum sealing is just so wasteful in many ways. And I kind of saw one with reusable bags and banged it on the wish list. So this comes with lots of reusable ones. So it's just like a Ziploc bag. It's got a little air valve there. Very similar in principle to the ones that you can do like duvets and clothes, like the big bags that you stick the Hoover on. Exactly the same principle as that. I had a visit to an Iranian supermarket in Leeds. I want to say Farbod, it's called. Bought a pot of Iranian pickles. Oh my goodness, that is so good. So I've been thinking I'd really like to try and make my own. Then I kind of realized that theoretically, it should be possible to do pickling in a vacuum bag. Because if you're fermenting or pickling things, you need to create an anaerobic environment, so that's without oxygen. And had a quick check on Google, and lo and behold, I was right. People have been doing it. So we're going to try a few different things today. This is the first time I've used it, and I'm going to experiment with a bag of buckwheat groats just to see if it works. I'm going to squeeze out the extra air just to make it a little bit less work on the little thing. So as far as I can figure out, you just put it on there and then press. Oh, well that was nice and quick, wow. First up, I'm going to do some tomatoes, chilies and garlic. I'm thinking I'll probably turn that into some sort of sauce. The peppers aren't really hot, so it's not going to be a hot sauce, but I think it'll be a nice little thing on the side of some tempeh. By the looks of things, you don't need to wash anything as long as it's fairly fresh. And the fresher the better. You need things to be crunchy and crisp and without any bruising or rotting or anything. I'm not an authority on this, so I'm just repeating what I've kind of read over the last few months, but we're going to be harnessing lactobacillus bacteria, and that converts sugar, I think, the sugars in food, turns it into an acid, and that's the process that happens. And that happens in the absence of oxygen, yes. And then I think what's going to happen is the vegetables and fruit that I'm going to put in will create carbon dioxide, so the bags will start puffing, and that's the air, the gas that the food stuffs are creating. It's quite exciting. I'm a bit geeked out. Got baby plum tomatoes, and I'm just going to peel a few garlic cloves. I've got my peeled garlic cloves, pop those in. With the chilies, I'm just going to slice the stems off and then cut those down into chunks, I guess. Put those into the bag. Seeds and everything. All we need in here now is salt, and that's going to help kill off the bad bacteria, sort of protect everything against rotting and decomposing. I'm just going to weigh a bag, put a bag on the scale. So it's 342 grams. I need a 2% salt solution. I'm going to pop in 7 grams of sea salt. Apparently it's best not to use ionized salt. I think that's had iodine added to it or something like that. Not 100% sure, but use natural salt, so like kosher salt kind of thing. Just sprinkle the salt into the bag. And then I might do it in stages. I'm going to do everything kind of in a flat layer. I think that's going to be better for getting, rid of maximum air. Okay, let's try again. Oh, this is bringing me much joy, I have to say. So I can see little pockets there where it's not quite stuck. Next up, I'm going to do cauliflower with lemon peel. I just think that's going to be delicious. I'm also going to put some pink peppercorns in there. So for the cauliflower, cut off the outer leaves and then break this down into smaller florets, I guess they're called. There's quite a lot of cauliflower, so I might split that into 2 batches. I might just for safety really, so I can get it nice and thin. If you can, get unwaxed lemons, because apparently the wax can inhibit the lactobacillus. If you can only get waxed ones, maybe give them a soak and a little light scrub. That might help. Just slice off the little niblets. Let's see. Yeah, that's about what I want. Trying to have minimal amount of pith in there, the white part, just because it's very bitter. Pop everything in here. So yeah, a tablespoon of pink peppercorns. You could also put greens in there as well, that'd be quite nice. So we need 5.7 grams of salt. Sprinkle that over. Let's give that a good toss through in the bowl. Try and get them to one flat. Suck it up. I'm just wiggling it around a bit and then resealing, just to, see if that helps with the air. Next up, I'm going to do sliced carrots with some ginger, caraway seeds and coriander seeds. Don't need to peel anything, although I might peel because that skin's quite tough on a ginger. But don't need to peel the carrots or anything, just straight into the bowl on the mandolin. Just use the same bowl, it's fine. Blast those through. Watch your fingers on these. Quick and easy way of peeling ginger, just use the corner of a spoon, or the side, I suppose. And just drag it across. About like that. Teaspoon of caraway seeds. These are lovely little fragrant bits of deliciousness. And about the same coriander seeds. Put 10 grams of salt in, sprinkle the salt on. So I have to go back and redo the cauliflower ones. These are very juicy for some reason. If you see any liquid inside the vacuum, you need to stop and clean everything up because moisture can damage the mechanism. So I guess for some reason the carrots have just suddenly started flooding juice out. And then last up, I'm gonna do grapes and shallots. I know, very weird, but I thought it'd be good to try. I think it's gonna be kind of salty, umami, sweet, lots of weirdness going on in there. Peel the shallots. And then just cut those into smaller pieces. So we need 11 grams of salt. Sprinkle that on. Once I've sealed it, just jiggle it around a little bit and you can get a little bit more air out. So I've got everything done. I've corrected the amount of salt in the cauliflower, put in an extra 1%. I knew something didn't feel right. So 2% solution. Vegetables are going to take 6 to 8 weeks, apparently. And then fruits can be done in as quick as a week. I'm not sure what they're counting a tomato as. I'm assuming a fruit. So I'm just going to keep checking on it. And the grapes, they're probably going to be very quick. So I just need to keep an eye on everything, see how it's doing. I'm going to cover these with a towel for the rest of the evening and just keep looking to make sure the bags aren't leaking. And then I'll tuck them in dark, dry places around the house, wherever I've got a bit of excess space. It's the 4th of October. It's a week since I did the pickles. As you can see, there's been a major change. When I went to bed that night after doing the vacuum seals, I was just really worried about it because I couldn't get all of the air out. So I thought, is that gonna start creating problems? Especially with the cauliflower, because of the structure of a cauliflower. There's just no way of getting a complete seal, you know, on the inside of the florets. So I dumped everything out into jars and then packed everything in really tightly and made up some extra brine just in case. I did, I want to say 1 tablespoon of salt to 1 cup of water. I didn't need much of the brine because the salt had pulled lots of liquid out of the vegetables and the fruits. So yeah, maybe a couple of tablespoons in each jar just to make sure everything was submerged. So let's pull in for a close-up. Here's the cauliflower and all of the little bubbles there that we can see. That's just the carbon dioxide that the cauliflower's produced. Here's the carrot and ginger, and again, lots of lovely air bubbles. Tomato and chili, and the garlic in there. It smells amazing. And then we've got the grapes and shallots. So I'm gonna have a little taste of everything, see how it's looking. I'm gonna use 4 different forks, just so there's definitely no risk of cross-contamination. I made these little lid cap, float catcher, not sure what to call those, but I made them out of a takeaway tub. And that is to keep everything below the brine level, just to make sure there's no escapees that will then go moldy. Here's the cauliflower. And it hasn't gone mushy or anything, which is a great start. In terms of texture, that's delicious. It's very salty, obviously, like a pickled food would be. But then there's the kind of tanginess from the lemon, and there's also little zings from the pink peppercorns. So I think that's going to make a really nice snack, just a kind of crunchy snack that isn't carbs. Pop the cap back on. So the good thing with these caps is because it's slightly flexible. And then to weigh it down, I found just a little plant pot and then filled up a plastic bag with water just to weigh it down a bit more. So that just keeps everything below the brine level. That just looks like a really lovely little jar of fun. So it's got the same plastic piece in it, there you can see. Yeah, there's a flavour that I can't quite pin down, but it reminds me of something. Either way, it's very tasty. Lovely and crunchy. Hasn't gone mushy at all. For this one, I used the lid of a coffee jar to act as a weight. And just put that over the top, and that kind of helps pin it down a little bit. I might top these up with brine this evening. Just the levels dropped a bit. And then the tomato and chili. So this one was tricky because the seeds kept popping out all over the place. But I've done what I could, kept checking it. But you can see the colour is still beautifully red, like a bold, bright red. So there's definitely no oxidation or mould, anything like that. Oh, it's fizzy. It still tastes quite fresh and lively. A bit like canned tomatoes almost, that kind of intensity of flavour. I'm gonna have one of the little garlic bits that I did. I'm gonna try and do a batch at some point of just garlic. The only thing that's putting me off is peeling it. That's just gonna be so tedious, but anyway. It's not as mellow as I thought it would be. Perhaps it just needs much longer. But it's flavourful, hot. It's got that kind of fierce garlicky heat to it, bit of pepper. I think it's intensifying the heat a bit because those peppers aren't normally that hot. That's going to be a really good hot sauce. I'm just shoving everything back under there. And I use a little stone on that one. And I saved the most exciting one for last. That's the grapes and shallots. So this one, I put 3 of the discs in, and I had spread them around, but I guess as the bubbles have moved, it's kind of moved the discs. So I'll try the grape just on its own. Tastes more like an onion than anything else. And a lot of the sugar's gone. I guess that's been turned into acid. Not a bad snack though, to be fair. One of the shallots. And that tastes like grapes. The shallots have gone really mild and kind of sweet. Another grape, research purposes. I squeezed it to get some of the brine out, and now I can taste the grape flavour. That's actually really nice. So I think when you want to eat them, drain them and maybe even blot them in paper towels. you know, good sort of 10 minutes before you want to eat them, and that'll probably take care of a lot of the brine there. I'm going to have some wild mushrooms in sherry for dinner. I'm going to film it for you as well, so I will pop a card up once that's done. But I think the grape pickle especially is going to be really nice on the side, because the mushrooms are going to be quite rich and buttery. So I think having that sharpness is going to help, and it's going to have cheesy polenta. So it's going to be a very hearty, rich dish, and I think that's just going to cut through it beautifully. And then to weigh this one down, I've got a little jar. I think that had tapenade in it. I can't remember, something pasty. Filled it with water, and then I tied a little string around just to make it easy to get out. So I'm going to pop that in. In summary, I think if you're doing things like whole chili peppers or gherkins, cucumber, that kind of thing, and you can get enough space in between each one in the bag, I think it will be fine. But as soon as you start having things that are irregularly shaped, like the cauliflower, broccoli, anything like that, that's gonna have, you know, little nooks and crannies that you just can't get the plastic into. Yeah. So I'll probably do a little bit more experimentation with it because it's fun. I've made kimchi before a couple of times and it really smells. There's a strong smell to it. But this doesn't smell of anything at all. It's like nothing. You can't smell anything. So that's why I've still got it up here rather than in a cupboard out of the way. Because I'm very new to lacto fermentation, I'm not sure if anything else is going to happen with these, if anything else can happen. But I'll probably leave them here and just keep nibbling on them and just see what happens. For more pickles, preserves, and of course that mushroom dish, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon, it'll land straight in your inbox.